You're listening to the Franchise Freedom Podcast with Giuseppe Grammatico.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide. We created the show to help corporate executives experience time and financial freedom via franchising. So excited for you to join us today. And today we are continuing with our solo episodes addressing the questions that we get on a daily basis, both myself, my colleagues, we've seen online, and love this part of the show because we're going to spend a lot of time. We have a dozen or so shows planned just covering a lot of these questions that we're getting. So we're going to dive in. So the title of today's show is the top 5 common franchise myths. And when I have these conversations with people, especially on our first calls, they're like, wow, I didn't realize that there was so much more out there in franchising. Now that I know that, I'd like to or be open to exploring more. So really the goal of today is just to kind of open up your mind as to what is out there and dispel some of these myths that we're hearing on a daily basis. So diving in today. So one of the top myths that we hear, and this is definitely something we hear daily when people are telling us, I want to look at a franchise, but is there anything outside of food? So the top, or I would say the number one myth that we're hearing is that franchising is all about food. And that's because people tend to see that, right? They see the big signs, they see the restaurants maybe on their way to work or on their way home, driving. So that is not the case. So that is a myth. Franchising, if you can think of a business, there's a franchise. 4,000 franchise companies out there in the US alone, 70 plus industries, and in all investment levels. There are, your traditional food, brick and mortar in a physical location. And then we go in the complete opposite end. And there are franchises around business coaching, around helping small business owners reduce their expenses. Completely different model, completely opposite of what you'll see in fast food and in restaurants. Pet waste removal. We've had childhood enrichment classes where they're helping children, via physical education, getting back into shape, getting away from their screen. So if you can think of the business, there's more than likely a franchise out there. So that's myth number 1. Myth number 2, which goes in line possibly with the idea that it's all fast food and restaurants, is that you need $1 million or millions of dollars to open up a franchise. And that is definitely not the case. There are franchise fees and investments, you're going as low as $50,000 to $1 million. So you tend to see the service-based businesses, a business where it may or may not require a physical location, meaning you can run it from home. It's a home-based service business like business coaching, such as childhood enrichment, where you're working with schools, to maybe something that does need an office. Maybe it's a home service type of business where you're providing lawn fertilization, irrigation, mosquito spraying, and things like that, where you may need some type of office. And these are businesses that have a much, much lower investment. As I mentioned, starting at 50 to 100,000, and that number goes up with the franchise fee and all the others. So there are definitely ranges depending on what you're looking for. But again, a lot of the expenses that you see in restaurants is the brick and mortar, the build out, everything, the permits and everything else that goes along with it. So that's myth number 2. And we'll cover, and we have on past episodes, funding options. And what I'll do is I'm just going to link that show, talking with Tara Thomas at Fran Fund. Awesome episode. We cover all the different ways to fund this franchise, right? And you'll be shocked that, you don't need to come out with the money completely out of pocket. There are some awesome ways to fund this business. And in many cases, not even take a loan. Do I need to quit my job or leave my job in order to start this business? So that is another myth. Now, The franchise companies, as we talked about in the previous episode, they are going to have some requirements. So you may have the same business, such as we'll throw a number, an idea, a painting franchise, both offering the same type of service. One, the franchisor, one option, they'll have you be full-time in the business to get started. The other one will you could be semi-absentee part-time from day one. So there are going to be requirements, and we're going to look at those characteristics when we work together, or when you're talking. If we're not working together, if you're contacting the franchise companies directly. So, but you do not need to leave your job. There are plenty of options out there that are built for semi-absentee ownership, allowing you to keep your job, run the business, at some hours during the day, nights, weekends, and eventually potentially leave the job and transition into the business. And in our previous episode, we also talked about semi-passive and investment models, allowing you to work even less. Maybe it's a couple hours a month or a couple hours a week, where the franchisor is taking an active role for a fee and running the day-to-day, treating this more as an investment. We call it an alternative compared, outside of real estate or the stock market, bonds, investments, things like that. So, all right, let's jump in. We have two more here. Number 4, you don't own the business. There's no autonomy. So you absolutely own the business. With every franchise, you are going to set up your own legal entity, whether it's an LLC, an S corporation, a C corporation, and you're going to be doing business as the painting franchise of, Northern Texas, wherever you're at. And so you absolutely own your business. You are buying in and investing in a business model. So there's definitely some autonomy there. Actually, there's plenty of autonomy. You're following that model, but it's up to you. The final say on the location, the final say on the employees that you're hiring. So this is your business. You're going to be running this business. You may be investing in additional businesses, some more franchises, maybe some non-franchises, but you are there to run the business. Pick the role that you would like to run in the business, whether it be we have a lot of business owners that like to work on the business. Maybe they're networking via the chamber of commerce events, letting the community know you're there, and then hiring a great team to go out there, salespeople, operations people, and things like that. Your technicians, depending on what the franchise is offering, the service that they're offering to the community. So you absolutely own the business. I think where the confusion comes up is the royalty. Well, I'm paying 5%, so it's like I'm giving up 5%, and that's actually not the case. The royalty, you're getting in exchange support. Sometimes the royalty is higher, and it's kind of itemized or broken out by the different things you're getting, such as a call center for a percentage or flat fee, the online marketing. So you're utilizing the franchisor, and it would cost you a lot more to do it on your own. So these are services you would pay for anyway. So it's not giving up a percentage of ownership. I want to be crystal clear there. That was a concern I received from a family that was exploring franchise ownership for the first time. And then as far as the area of time, it takes years or a year or more to open up a business. It takes years to make money in a franchise. At the end of the day, a brick and mortar business will take longer, and yes, it could take a year. So that part of it, may or may not be a myth, depending on the area, depending if you're able to find contractors and negotiate a space with a landlord. When you get into your service businesses, you can sign that franchise agreement and be up and running, potentially, depending on the brand, depending on if everything is in place, and as little as 30 to 60, kind of that area. I would say the sweet spot is 60 to 90 days from signing that agreement and going immediately to training. So it does not take years to open. You will see maybe a year. It could take six months to 12 months or a year if it's a brick and mortar location. And as far as making money, this is all over the map, and I'll touch on this on a high level. It doesn't take necessary. It could take you a year to make money, but it can take much less if you have a lean business with a small staff. You're able to open much quicker. So working from home, marketing and call center done for you, you have the potential to start being cash flow positive much quicker without having all the additional expenses of a brick and mortar location. Not to say that's a good match for everyone, but there is that possibility to be profitable. Absolutely, the first year, and the franchisor will talk to you historically and averages what their franchisees have done. Maybe their first year franchisees and some of their more seasoned franchisees that have been doing it for a while. So that was kind of, I touched on a few things there, but on the area time. So to recap, the top 5 common franchise myths are: it's all fast food and restaurants. Again, that's not the case. You need millions of dollars to open up a franchise. That's for the standalone, fast food restaurants. But typically, you can start as little as $50,000 to $100,000 for service brand businesses. You need to quit your job. We talked about that. You can be semi-passive or semi-absentee. You absolutely own the business. So we're dispelling the myth of you don't own the business. There's no autonomy. Absolutely false. And then the area of time, you can be up and running in a franchise in as little as 30 days. Actually open with the potential to start generating revenue. So I hope this helps. Sometimes when I go through these myths, people come back to me and say, wow, since that's the case, I don't have to leave my job and it's not millions of dollars. We're just starting out. I didn't have access to that kind of capital. The wheels start turning and we end up having another conversation, or there's additional research being done. So hope this was helpful. Leave me a comment, like this. We appreciate that. It helps with the algorithms and people seeing this. And feel free to share this, even if it's with one person that may benefit from some of the information we discussed today. And you can always go to my website, ggthefranchiseguide.com. You can message me directly. Sign up. You have a free book download, a free webinar. Should you need additional information, you can send me a message or check out. We have 120 plus podcasts covering every single area, from funding to legal to speaking with accountants to how to sell your franchise down the road after you've owned it for years. So again, thanks for your support. Thanks for your questions. It helps future shows, and looking forward to the next one. Take care. All right, bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways Giuseppe can help. 1. If you've ever considered owning a business of any kind, you owe it to yourself to get a copy of Giuseppe's book, Franchise Freedom. Download your free copy at ggthefranchiseguide.com/book. 2. Want to understand how successful executives make the transition from corporate to owning their own franchise? Join Giuseppe's next online presentation, Franchise Freedom: How to Escape the Corporate World and Have Financial and Time Freedom by Owning a Franchise, by going to ggthefranchiseguide.com/video. 3. Want to work with Giuseppe one-on-one to identify the right franchise opportunity for you, to navigate the process, and get plugged into experienced franchising advisors? Send him an email to gg@ggthefranchiseguide.com with one-on-one in the subject, and he'll send you all the details.